last week, this week, Texas, North Carolina, Florida, South Carolina, back to Washington, let's go here, let's go there, let's go everywhere, meetings all the time. I think I've answered more questions from these maniacs than any president in history. And mean questions. You know, I watched Biden yesterday, so he hasn't answered questions in, 2 months or something. And yesterday, he took a couple, and they were setups like I've never seen. One young woman, who I think is there, one young woman is smiling. Hi, 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 hi. I'd just like to ask you, I'm sorry to bother you with this question. It's the most incredible. So the doctor wrote a letter saying, no, this rumor is wrong. And I don't like, rumors like that. And by the way, if it were a fact, it's fine. It should. I think it's an important thing. But if it's not true, my wife was like, she came to me, she said, I think I would have known that. I said, yeah, I think they would have known it too, because they drove back with me. The press follows me. They have a special deal, a van. They followed me. And then we go in, we go out. But if you remember last time, I go in, I spend a little time, a physical, like we all have. Hopefully you have them. Good thing to have, I guess. As long as they give you a good answer. If they give you a bad answer, don't bother. Possibly too late. But I go in. I come out a couple of hours later, I guess, whatever it is, short time later. I get into the car. The press sees me get into the car. On my way home, I get a call from my wife, the First Lady, who's very popular. Do we like our First Lady? She's very popular. She's a great person, a great woman. She said, darling, are you okay? I go, why do you ask? She said, they're reporting that you had a heart attack. Now, you have to understand, I'm driving in a car which is about, 6 cars in front of the press, because they have a big car. There are a lot of them, and we try and give them as little room as possible, make it uncomfortable. But they're right behind me, so they know I got in. And CNN reported that I had a heart attack. That was the same visit, and that didn't work. No, it's unbelievable. CNN reported I had a heart attack, so my wife was concerned. I said, no, not that I know of. And if I did, I think I'd be back there. No, I'll be home in 15 minutes, darling. Thank you for caring. It's always nice. It's always nice. She sounded relieved. That's good. When your wife sounds relieved. But she said, I wonder how that happened. Why did they do that? Because they're fake news. So I go in, and that rumor lasted for a little while, like a day or two. It lasted for a little while, no matter what I did. I'm in the same motorcade. I go in, and I go out. They know I'm in the motorcade. I actually have to report it, but I'm in the motorcade, and they said I had one of them said it was a massive heart attack. Think of it. Again, it could happen someday, okay? And when it does, I hope things work out. But they knew I'm in the motorcade, and yet they reported it anyway because they're fake news. Now, for the same visit, that was the same. That was the stupidest thing. From now on, when I go for a physical or something or go to the hospital, announce it. Because this was a quick thing. The doctor, he got me in a lot of trouble. He's a great doctor. I said, no more surprise visits to the hospital where we do a little work because we have some time. But so now, the same visit, they started yesterday because some joker from the New York Times, who's a third-rate reporter, writes a book. And he said, the vice president was prepared to take over the reins because they thought the president was going to go, I guess, under anesthesia. Do they still call it? In the old days, they called it anesthesia. It's essentially the same thing. I don't want to get into a situation like where Biden used record player. Remember that? You go home, you turn on your record player. But the anesthesia. And I said, how could that be? So remember, this is the same visit.